Shrimp and grits is one of the most famous Southern dishes for breakfast. I have made thousands of shrimp and grit dishes throughout my career as an executive chef, and this one here is no different. Absolutely delicious. If you are out here to learn what it is to make beautiful shrimp and grits, what are all the key pointers, what it's like to have the perfect dish, then stick around because this is the one. This is the one. This is Mississippi style shrimp and grits. I mean, it's become a staple now. You see it on everything from Food Network. You see it on Gordon Ramsay shows. This is a dish that everyone is trying to make. Now, there are multiple versions of this staple, but today we're going to talk specifically about Mississippi style shrimp and grits. Now, there's three really main types to shrimp and grits. There's what I call the Savannah style, which if you're in Savannah, typically it is made with a cream-based sauce. Then there's like this Texas and Louisiana that's typically made with tasso ham. Here in my region, we use local smoked sausage as a meat pairing that goes along with that. So let's get to cracking today. Let's not waste any time. This one right here, this right here is our start to our grits. We're gonna make a beautiful, delicious cheddar grits today. So in here we have our milk, and we're going to add, it's kind of all melted because it's nice and warm today. It is beautiful outside today. Could not imagine cooking inside today. Today was too nice. So I added about a half a stick of butter to that, to about 1 quart of milk. We're gonna let that get hot. Where I think a lot of people make mistakes is they go ahead and they add in the shrimp way too early, and they have really, really overcooked shrimp. I'm gonna do something that's kind of abnormal in the process, but you're gonna have a more tender shrimp because of it. So to that first, we're going to make our shrimp and grit base. The bulk of the flavor is gonna come from this base. So let's get to making it. So first we need to add a little bit of fat. I'm gonna use just a little bit of lard. You could easily use just a drop of oil. At this point, do not add butter. Butter is not really a great pairing at this moment. Butter is going to overcook in this because we're going to be caramelizing sausage, peppers, and onions in this. So we don't want to put a low burning fat into this. We want something that can take a little bit of heat. So some clarified lard's a great option, or maybe it's just canola oil. It's just what you have available. Go. And we're going to start to caramelize that sausage. As that sausage is caramelizing in this pan, it is releasing a lot of that flavor profile that's got with this is Cajun andouille. All right, so that sausage is caramelizing up, starting to get nice and brown. So now we're going to start to add in our onions and the peppers. Now we are going to put a little bit of color on this, so we do not want to add in the garlic just yet. We're actually wanting to put a lot of color on this, develop the flavor. I know you always hear those buzzwords about easy, simple, quick. Shrimp and grits and a lot of Southern classics are all about, yes, they're very simple, and they're some of them can be kind of quick, but it's really about developing these different layers of flavor that kind of build up. And then, you know, we'll add in the final ingredient, which will be the shrimp, that kind of takes it over the edge. But it's all about building these different layers. So anytime we skip something, we add in, you know, pre-roasted peppers and onions. We don't allow that caramelization on the bottom of the pan, and we're missing that flavor off the bottom of the pan, that fond, as it's called in French cuisine. Don't be scared to let it sit on the bottom of that pan either. Let it really develop that caramelization. All right, now comes the fun part. Nice and warm over here. Add in some grits. Key with grits, just to keep them moving, especially in those first couple seconds. Add just a little salt and pepper to them while they sit. Shred some cheese. Again, don't go too long without stirring those. If you need to, turn the heat down, make it easy on yourself. Nothing makes grits taste better. A little bit of cheese on top. Turn these down low. It's gonna let that corns kind of blossom in there. If I need to, I can add more water or chicken stock or anything like that to these grits to get them to the right consistency I'm looking for. Let's add in our cheese. All right, so we are starting to get where we need to get. Peppers are starting to get caramelized. So we gotta start seasoning this up a little bit. I'm gonna drop my heat down just a little bit. I'm a firm believer in activating your dry spices. Too often we kind of dump stuff in there and then you kind of get some whacked out flavor. I wanna make sure we get the maximum amount of flavor as possible. So I'm gonna add in my dry spices and then it's activated by the oil coating it. So a little Cajun seasoning, dry thyme, and just a drop more onion powder, and then our actual garlic. So we're just gonna kind of sweat that, move that around. And on deck, I've got some stock with me. Now you could, if you wanted to increase the flavor of that seafood, you could use clam juice. Here again, I got basically a free supply of stock that I've always got around, so I use stock. It's because of its availability on my farm. All right. So now we're gonna add just a little bit. We're gonna scrape the bottom. Scrape, 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 scrape for all that flavor. I'm also gonna add white wine and just a couple drops, like a teaspoon's worth of lemon zest. Now from this point, we are gonna have to get a little hands-on. You could easily put them through a machine to crush them, but I kind of like there to be texture. So I like them to be hand crushed. And I mean hand crushed, I mean literally hand crushed. I can go wash my hands, it takes me 3 seconds, but I like that texture in there. So please excuse me if that offends you, but I like being hands-on with my food. Obviously wash your hands before, wash your hands afterwards. I feel like that should be common sense by now, that I wash my hands in between doing all this stuff, and through the magic of video editing, you don't really see that. Again, I'll wash my hands before, I'll wash my hands after, and everyone's happy. So I like to just, again, give it just a little bit of a crush. Again, I like there to be texture. I'm also adding, obviously, tomato juice. And don't skimp it on the tomato quality. We should say that really about every ingredient, but the tomatoes in this is kind of what's gonna make it. These are Roma tomatoes grown off of our farm this past year. So we've added in our stock, we've added in our white wine, we've added in a little lemon zest. We're gonna heat this through, make sure all those flavors meld together really well. And then we're gonna start plate up. So everything is ready to go. I got my base that we made over off to the side. It's now time to start putting everything together. So as we're putting these shrimp and grits together, I wanna make a quick note that I think is very important, that not all shrimp are created equal. Now, unfortunately, we are just a little bit pre-seasoned for the shrimp coming off of our coast here in Mississippi. I would obviously prefer their shrimp, but unfortunately, this time of year, it is very, very slim on the shrimp that are available off of our coast. So typically what happens is there's a lot of import in, and again, not all imports are created equal. So I want to encourage you to look on the back of the bags and look for something called tripolyphosphates. Tripolyphosphates are an additive that they add to our shrimp to make them puff up and full of water. Now, that's for 2 reasons. One, to help it stay juicy, because shrimp are naturally dry. There's not a lot of fat there. That's why they're a great healthy option. But number 2, for the shrimper, it helps them bulk up, and it helps that 16 or that 21-25 to press out to a big 16-20. And then when you cook it, it's down to like a 31-34. It really shrinks up really tight in a little ball. So what we got to do, though, is make sure that we're looking for those shrimp. The other type of way that it's done is called a bicarbonate, which, you know, again, that's baking soda, basically. And that's the more natural way to for them to achieve this. And it doesn't force your shrimp to shrink. This shrimp is tripolyphosphate free. These are 31-34s. They're delicious. They shouldn't shrink down too much. You don't want to add too much. You notice that I didn't add all the shrimp. I don't want to add so much that it slows the cooking time down for everything. Add just a little blackening seasoning over it. How you also know, like if you don't have the bag and say it's just your product that you've bought, a lot of times by this point, you'll already have like this white milky substance running from it. That's a surefire sign that it's got tripolyphosphate in it. The other part is if you still got it in the raw, that little, and really what it comes down to is just the quality. It doesn't hurt you unless you're eating like an excess amount of shrimp. It's not really gonna hurt you to have the tripolyphosphate. This isn't some crazy health concern, at least to my knowledge. It's more about like the consistency of quality of the shrimp. It's gotta make sure that we stay at a certain size and shape versus getting into the other and then, you know, they look super big, and then by the time we cook them, they're like this small. All right, so I got these about 80% of the way there. I'm gonna bring our base back. We're gonna add these into the base now that we have seared them. If we would have added them in the beginning, again, we would have been way, way, way overcooked. So let's add grits. Nice runny, they're super buttery. Again, as soon as you see that they're nice, delicious pink, you don't have to continue to cook them, you know? Let's try one out before we plate. Sweetness of that tomato. You get the smokiness from the sausage. Sweetness from those peppers and onions. A little spice that's left over from that Cajun seasoning and that spicy andouille Cajun sausage. You get that briny, like saltiness from the shrimp. That's exactly what you're looking for. Get it right over the top. Again, I'm making a man-sized plate. I'm a big boy and I like it. There we go. Beautiful. Just a little bit of greenery on top. And that, my friends, is how you make delicious, beautiful shrimp and grits to enjoy with your friends and family. Thank you so much for hanging out on this video. I had a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite brunch dishes. Working out actually a whole brunch series. So if you would like that, make sure you leave in the comment description that you'd be interested in that. Thinking about creating like a freebie recipe book on Southern brunch items. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of cool. But if you want to see videos right now, like right now, this moment, no doubt, make sure you click on this video right here. It's going to walk you through some amazing smoked meats that we've been making out here. We've got an amazing smoked pit over here to my right. We've had a lot of fun putting whole pigs and roasts and all kinds of stuff over there on the smoker. Check out over here if you are interested in some amazing, delicious, decadent red beans and rice. And as always, make sure you hit that like. It helps promote this to YouTube so other people can find this video. And as always, of course, hit the subscribe. Either way, you're my peeps. I'm super glad you're here. Make sure you're choosing your own adventure, and we'll see you next time.